Good evening, everyone. Today I'm going to talk about three very well-known existing transformation concepts. The first is climate technology. We're all talking about it. The second is data and artificial intelligence. And the third is how we bring these two together and create a marketplace. So I'm going to explain these terms first, and then I will give you more examples and context why this is a very relevant topic now, and why and how in the last 5 years this has spanned across not only within regions like Latin America and Europe, Indian subcontinent, but it's coming to the US now as well, where climate tech, data AI, these two are getting into a digital marketplace. So I would like to spend a couple of minutes on, maybe not a couple of minutes, a few seconds on defining a marketplace. So when we talk about marketplace, it's about a centralized pool of data availability, accessibility, best practices that all the business units of an organization in the value chain, let's take an example of, let's say, automotive. It has tier 3, tier 2, tier 1, OEM, original equipment manufacturer, dealers and consumers like you and I. There's a value chain where we all write and read data. We price that data, we sell that data, we buy that data, it's marketplace. And what happens with that, it brings symmetry in the business models. It brings really great integration, blurring the industry boundaries with a very carefully sharing, if needed, the intellectual property as well. That's a digital marketplace. So climate tech is and should be a part in the digital marketplace, because digital transformation, we're all aware of, it's going for the last 40, 50 years. And one thing that also is important to understand when we talk about digital transformation, I'm going to use a term, it's Industrial Revolution X.0, which is 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. So we are in 4.0, which is completely digital, full automation. And we are slowly moving into 5.0, which is selective automation. Selective automation is where you're considering sustainability, environmental, social governance into consideration. So if you don't need to lit up the 79th floor of a building just to make the skyline beautiful, don't do it. We save some energy. That's 5.0. 4.0 is full automation. 5.0 is, we are getting into there. It's next 10, 20 years of chapter, mainly what we will see. So now we talk about climate technologies, we talk about data and AI, we talk about marketplace. I also defined industrial revolution a little bit. At the end of the day, it integrates all these things together, bringing a platform. So platformation, where scalability and repeatability is a big concept. So you're basically building a marketplace fundamentally on a platform. So you have now climate technologies, you have data and AI, you have digital transformation, all happening in a marketplace. We are sharing our knowledge base and it's building on a platform. I think that's the true meaning of sustainability, where we take anybody, let's take an example of regenerative agriculture, where a farmer would love to play a role in sustainable crop and products, not only to selling that to a distributor, going to Walmart or any other retailers and really talking about a forward sustainable value chain, where farmers really producing products which is really organic, and not only organic, also green. And the other piece is that how we are taking all these field workers, making a policy, driving advocacy, and really taking it to a level where private sectors are also appreciating the entire value chain. So it's about end-to-end, the whole value chain. Like example of an agriculture, taking into climate tech, agri-tech, taking it to where you and I are buying the products. It's all a value chain. And that's how the true meaning of sustainability should be, that you're really playing end-to-end. And that's where the agenda for more transformation, sustainable value chain will come into play. But that's where that whole transformation will come into play when we bring this whole marketplace together and blur these lines. I talked about an automotive example. I talked about a farmer's example. So the thing is, come and just build a marketplace where we will embrace more technology, data maturity, business transformation, and let's not do things in silo. So we talked about supply chain, be it an automotive or agricultural value chain, farm-to-table value chain, the life sciences, oil and gas, energy. Supply chain is a big piece of the whole thing, especially post-COVID. We have seen a lot of shift around regional supply chain, which we call deglobalization. Deglobalization is happening, nearshoring is happening. The biggest factor to that is that you have to make those decisions, and to make that decision, you have to drive like data-driven transformation. You just can't make a decision because you want a regional base, so you deglobalize post-COVID, and then you decide to deglobalize and bring something to within your 15 miles or 10 miles, and your cost goes up. It doesn't work like that, of course. So deglobalization is a big theme, but you will be seeing this a lot. But data collection will be an important parameter. So again, supply chain is not new, 40, 50, 100, 200 years old concept. Data is not new, pretty much a mature concept now. But now how we take all this and create a greener value chain. To achieve a greener value chain, I feel we should really think about taking a step back, look into the supply chain, and focus on environmental, social, and governance risk analysis, which I'm calling a greener supply chain or sustainable supply chain. Because that's where I feel when we look into supply chain with a new normal mindset, if you want to access a new market, suppose you want to do a business in Europe and you are in Brazil, your cross-border carbon requirements are different. So then you will do you want to play in that whole global value chain. You need, of course, better climate technology. You need a better data collection and artificial intelligence infusion. And you need a good marketplace to execute where we can read and write. And then you also play at the global level where as you cross the border, you're also respecting each country's carbon tax adjustments. You can look, we'll be talking about CBAM, carbon border adjustment mechanism, where all supply chain players are embracing it. But those things are only possible when we blur the industry lines and you basically bring a marketplace together. The most interesting concept to that is human centricity. At the end of the day, we are talking about digital transformation, we are talking about marketplace, we're talking about data and AI, talking about various highly federated climate tech organizations. At the end, it's who will be able to really make this happen is us. So leaders, I feel that we should embrace this as a transformation agenda to drive proper investment, proper decision making, and making the right strategy for not only for financial, because at the end we have to have a profitable business, but also run the business for regulatory compliance, which sometimes we all call purpose-driven business, which is just not compliance and regulations, but also have a more sustainable value chain. So at the end, it's about economic benefit. When I go as an entrepreneur, as when I'm going and talking to leaders in the ecosystem, talking to CEOs, the first thing, be it in the US or in Europe or Latin America, wherever it is, India, we are seeing that a lot of questions coming on. If I do a digital, greener marketplace with climate tech, data and AI, business transformation, are there economic benefits? And that's where we have to, all as individual leaders, we have to prove that. And that's where your AI infusion will be a puzzle that we all solve. So how accurate these AI models are, suppose we have data, then what we would do with that? These models do not expect that they will be 100% accurate. It never happens like that. What happens is you will be able to see that 75% to 80% it will be giving you the right recommendations, and then you have to improve and train the model. So, and then as we all know, the next Gen AI is coming with Gen AI, which is an important topic. Are we there yet to use it at a daily business level? I feel no. Will we be there in the next 2 years? Absolutely yes. How it will affect a farmer to the table is how we use it, how we reskill ourselves, and how we transform as leaders. So the next point I will make is how they're enabling a greener marketplace is help us in decision making and ultimately really making sure that we do not solve this alone. So we solve this as a team where we define equity, more than equality, inclusion, diversity. We have to bring all this together. So a farmer may not afford the best possible digital technologies. How we should empower them to do a business with organizations, let's say Nestle. How a farmer would do business with, let's say, Bayer Crop Science. So that whole involvement from organizations to pull up low-income farmers, as well as bringing right technology to them, building the ecosystem, really enabling the right climate, social, environmental governance checkpoints in the ecosystem. So I think one of the best possible solutions that I'm seeing in the market as we drive the ecosystem play, like partnerships is the best way to go, and scaling is the best way to go. Like scaling will possible when you have partners. We would not try to solve the problem alone. Let's go together, and that's where I feel is the most power is. Also having the right automation, artificial intelligence when it's needed. And that's where running a business more with a purpose, of course running a more ethical business will be very important to drive the transformation for the next 10, 15, 20 years. Everybody's talking about net zero. We'll get to hear this. Like, how do you bring carbon neutrality? Some folks are also talking about net positive, which is very encouraging. It's how we learn and play in the digital carbon marketplace. So that's an important thing. So sharing is caring. So we should create the partnership model, read, write data, create the marketplace between climate tech, data, AI, and business transformation. At the end, leadership drives this home. So we all have to be conscious leaders, and I feel like as we embrace more and more climate technologies, improving our supply chain, value chain, customer experience, doing business across the borders, really doing globalization or deglobalization, we should make the right choices. And at the end, though we build digital platforms, it's us humans who need to make sure that we embrace this and really drive change management as a big component. And that's where I say it's time for a marketplace where we bring climate technologies, transformation, data and AI together. We do not need to go for being perfect. Let's achieve excellence. Perfection will automatically come, and it should not be a hindrance. Thank Thank you.